I'm talking with Hex Girls. They are IPR's Artist of the Month. John and Nick Fisher of the band are here with me tonight, the two voices of the Hex Girls, along with guitarist Charlie Patterson. Welcome, Hex Girls.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
Thanks for having us. So yeah, it has been a year. How are you all doing, and how have you kept busy?
Yard work. No, but I mean, that has kept me busy, but I guess this past year-ish of going without live shows, I've tried to dive into demoing more than what we used to do. Like we're used to writing a lot just as a group in practice or during practice, coming with a loose idea. And I guess I've been able to dive into like actually tracking demos and, seeing what comes out. So that's kept me pretty busy.
And I will say, since we weren't able to get together, we were in 4 or 5 different households throughout this. We weren't able to get together as much as we wanted, certainly in the earlier months. We pivoted to filming outdoor videos, music videos. That was kind of how we occupied our time and tried to get some really entertaining video work out there ahead of this album.
Anything outside of music?
Is there anything? No. I've been doing a lot of reading. I mean, you have that time back, I feel like. Chuck, what about you?
I'm going to UNI, so I'm a full-time student there trying to become a science teacher, high school science. So that keeps me pretty busy.
You finished your new album, Pop Fluff, last March, but you're releasing it now. A lot of musicians did this, recorded music right as the pandemic was beginning, decided to hold off. Other musicians decided to go ahead and release music last year after all. What made you guys decide to wait?
Yeah, we really felt with the delays, we were actually trying to wrap it up right before Hinterland 2020 in terms of the timeline with a vinyl release. And we had got that done. But then with that postponement, we really felt like, okay, let's take a breather. Let's give this the release we want to give it, and do these videos, find other creative ways to get people engaged. Felt really hard to cut through the noise of everybody being in isolation, attached to their screens, so we were trying to kind of capitalize on a different way of approaching
and we couldn't compete with toilet paper. I mean, that's what everyone was buying, and they weren't going to buy our album. It's just know our place.
So this is your second record, kind of hard to follow that up. This is your second record, but it's your first since Ross Clems moved over to keyboard and Christian Ebatino took over on drums. What brought about that change? Why did you decide to do that?
We were talking about it on tour 2019. We did 3 or 4 week tour. And it really felt like a moment in the band where Ross is like, I think I can move over and take on a different role and really make our sound bigger, deliver something bigger. and we had played shows with Christian and other bands he's been in. He's backed probably a handful of bands around the Cedar Valley. So we felt, a connection to him as it was, and felt like, it's a great time to bring on somebody new right when we're going to record this album. And we couldn't have expected that we bring on somebody new, I think we played 2 shows with Christian and then pandemic. So it wasn't the best timing, but.
So how has the band changed as a result of this kind of new lineup and new blood in there?
It's kind of tough to say that. I mean, and the only reason I say that is because we practiced up, spent a lot of time in the studio, kind of cornering these 6 songs. Like a couple of the songs had been written pre-Christian, and then, some of them were written kind of as he was joining. Some of them were written like after we had been practicing for a bit. So it's like it's definitely a good mix of like kind of this transitional period with Hex Girls. But the reason why that question's difficult is to answer is just because of we haven't been able to play shows or really, practice since wrapping up that recording. So it's kind of like, I have a decent feeling of where we're going now, but it's like, who knows what that would have been, a year ago. Like, it's hard to say what our trajectory is, but I have a little feeling.
The new album is called Pop Fluff, but I've listened to the first song or 2 and they're neither poppy nor are they fluffy. What is the significance of this title? Hear the songbird singing from a lone cherry tree. I said, hey, ain't you come to realize that the blood of Christ is just a cocoa tea? I said, hey, and don't you look when we were in studio, we actually listened to a slew of songs that I think we would be deemed pop fluff. The idea of something that's mainstream, is really written to not have a deep resonance, so to speak. I guess I don't know if I want to out these artists. One of them was the Ghostbusters theme song. I don't know. What else were we listening to? Was it? I mean, we had Britney Spears' "Toxic" was playing. I wouldn't say. I think that's a little bit deeper than pop fluff. But anyway, we were kicking around this kind of funny idea that we're a punk band, trying to draw inspiration from, in a roundabout way, from some of these songs, the hooks in those songs, and then it was thrown out, like, let's call the album Pop Fluff. It's that classic, like, self-referential title, I think, of like Fear of Music, Talking Heads. And it's kind of a play on the idea that these songs are the opposite of that, certainly to us, certainly from a thematic, like, lyrical standpoint, even the way they're delivered. But I suppose a listener could hear them just on their surface and really be into the songs on a surface level and not go deeper. So those are kind of the ideas behind that. It's just kind of playing with that self-referential, almost oxymoronic title. I don't know. Do you think listening to some of these artists kind of did that rub off on you, or kind of informed the music in any way? Can you point to an example on the record that maybe you're like, this song never would have happened if we hadn't been listening to Britney Spears at the time?
No, Chuck, do you remember any like parts that stuck out to you?
Like Nick mentioned, the Ghostbusters theme song, like that came up in the first record too. I mean,
Ross just
like,
obsessed with Ghostbusters.
not necessarily anything specific from it, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like some of the unreleased songs, there's one called Looking for the Facts, where we have a kind of a snotty cheerleader kind of esque, like backing girl voices. We brought in some of our girlfriends and had them perform that role as this kind of hooky, catchy background gang of girls behind us, and it really just is a fun way to like play with the meaning of that song in particular, Looking for the Facts. And I suppose you could tie that to some of these pop fluff.
And I think for the Toxic specifically, you know, we were just listening to, we were like, what makes this song cool? Like, what makes this memorable? And how can we apply that to something we have, you know, where it's not going to sound like Toxic. But I think for example, like Toxic influenced like the bass line in the chorus of is it Pretty in Pink?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And which it ends up sounding nothing like what was in your head, but it's just like that just helps you, you know, points you in a different direction.
Hex Girls were among the leaders of the Musicians Mask Up Challenge last year. You posted a video on your Facebook page and kind of threw down the gauntlet. You're trying to recruit your fellow musicians, supporters of the Iowa music scene, in order to get the virus under control and help bring back live music. You guys were real leaders there. What sort of feedback did you get on that video?
I feel like in the music community, everybody instantly understood it. And at the time, I mean, just thinking back to how polarizing something as simple as that was, you know, and I think part of the idea was mostly I wanted to, you know, show that there's a solidarity in the Iowa music scene behind this issue. It's obvious. It's the basic, the bare minimum we can be doing. And then also to show some of those, you know, skeptics or whatever you want to call them, you know, that their favorite musician thinks you should wear a mask. Can I feel your vibe riding? You know, I mean, I hope it convinced people. I don't know if it did, but I think the message resonated that, you know, as a music scene, we're all on board with doing our part. You know?
You are performing at the Hinterland Music Festival this year. You were scheduled to do that last year. The festival was canceled. You'll be leading off the festival this year. What is Hinterland doing to ensure the safety of the performers?
First of all, I guess I'll say that the protocols all struck me as very reasonable and accommodating. Too, as an artist, I feel safe, you know, with those reasonable protocols, and kind of I feel like the philosophy behind them is that it'll change as the world changes. So that was nice to see. You know, it'll be distanced. They're limiting ticket sales to a degree to facilitate that. Masks are required for everybody, as I understand. So I think these are, you know, very reasonable, basic sorts of protocols in place. We ought to be able to figure out. I feel like we're a year into this. We ought to be able to do this, you know, by now if we need to. We ought to be able to get together safely, masked up outside, and really enjoy what we all want is seeing live music again, you know.
We are on the road to a live music return. Nobody knows for sure when we're going to be kind of back to a new normal, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. What are you most looking forward to? Charlie, let's start with you.
Just one, playing new guitars live. Like, I got a new guitar like March of last year, haven't played it live yet. So that'll be cool. and just playing all over the place again. Because I mean, we kind of really wanted to get out, do a lot more traveling, do some weekend runs in various cities in the Midwest, hit, you know, Minneapolis more, Madison more, maybe go to, you know, Cleveland, St. Louis, all the places around us, and we couldn't do that. So we're, I think, all hoping to ramp up again as shows begin again and start visiting new places and playing music for new people.
How about you, John?
Yeah, I guess I'm excited to just get back into like always getting better. Like, you know, it's hard to get better playing live music if you aren't playing live music, and I just want to get comfortable again to where we can feel like, you know, we have the enough time to work on new material and whatever and keep progressing as a band. Because it's like when you have a year off, then you have to spend this much time prepping old material again and whatnot. It's like, you know, we have these cool new song ideas that we can't get to because we got to practice this, you know, or whatever. So it's like once we actually get our legs back under us, you know, we can spend that time on new material and progressing and seeing where our new sound takes us.
You mentioned new sound. You had kazoos on one of those music videos you alluded to earlier. Any other surprises on this record along those lines?
I mean, we did quite a few goofy things for one song. Pretty in Pink, I think. There's like some in the chorus, there's like hits on an offbeat in the chorus, and I think at one point we recorded like 4 or 5 kick drums at the same time, one person on each one hitting it at the exact same time. I don't think that made it into the
we have videos,
and it was also in this big room where it just, you know, echoed forever.
Yeah, we have on Pretty in Pink, it's not like a weird sound, it just like uncharacteristic of us. Like Clayton Ryan actually played stand-up bass on that song, which was cool to have him, you know, have him come in and just knock it out. Like I don't think he'd even heard the song. We just said, yeah, there's these chords, and you know, you're a jazz guy, you know your stuff, and he walked in and knocked it out, and I think he was there for an hour or something, maybe, messing around with stuff. So that was kind of cool.
Do you have any ideas for how you're going to recreate some of these things live? Nick, you kind of look like you might have thoughts on that or not.
Yeah, we're working on that right now. Now I think we're going to have to employ some cleverness to recapture some of those, I guess, ambient auxiliary noises in these recordings, but I think it's coming together pretty well so far. We have been practicing throughout this, just kind of a start and stop sort of deal as cases rose and etc. But yeah, we've been at it a little bit this spring and it's coming together, I think.
Well, we're going to get a taste of what Hex Girls live is like in just a second here on Tracks. We're going to revisit. I'm talking with Nick and John Fisher, along with Charlie Patterson of Hex Girls, IPR's Artist of the Month. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.